Now, from the area's leader in live local news, this is Wyln News, the area's #1 source of live local news and information in Luzerne, Schuylkill, Carbon, and Columbia counties. Wyln News starts now.
Good evening, and thank you for joining us on Wyln News. I'm Joel Cordero. Election Day has come and gone, and here are the major local headlines following the election. Supreme Court judges Christine Donahoe, Kevin Doherty, and David Wedge, all up for re-election, will have another term, keeping them in the state's highest court for another 10 years, bearing age limits. The judges all won their elections by just short of 2/3 of the vote. Their re-election maintains a majority on the state Supreme Court, currently at 5-2. In Luzerne County, Democrats won 4 of the 5 seats up for re-election on the Luzerne County Council, gaining an 8-3 majority when the new council members take office in January. Democrats Denise Williams, Stephen Coslett, Chris Bells, and Don Simmons all flipped seats currently held by Republicans. Republican John Lombardo managed to cling on to his seat, winning a second term. All of them will serve for 4 years on the Luzerne County Council. In Hazleton, a tight race for 3 seats on the City Council have re-elected all 3 incumbents. Democrat Tony Colombo and Republicans James Perry and Mark Onishin will all return to Hazleton City Council. And finally, Hazleton area has elected 4 new members to its school board: Carmela Yankovich, Jared O'Donnell, Ed Shemansky, and Wister Uhas Jr. Yankovich placed first with 8,034 votes, 7,885 to O'Donnell in second, 7,741 for Shemansky in third, and 7,737 for Uhas. The board manages a district with over 13,000 students across 16 schools. Voters in Luzerne County have decided to reject the county's proposed new home rule charter. With all 186 precincts in the county's reporting, over 41,000 voted to keep the current charter, while over 26,000 voted to enact the new one. The Government Study Commission, made up of 7 elected citizens, put forward the new home rule charter to replace the current one enacted in 2012. One of the new charter's proposals was to reduce the number of council members from 11 to 9 in 2028. Term limits for officials also would have been affected, along with a chance to make changes to the county's election board in the future. Now each alteration to the current charter must be put forth as an amendment on ballots and voted on individually in elections. Due to the state's Home Rule Handbook, a new Government Study Commission cannot be elected again for another 5 years. A tentative agreement has been reached between the Luzerne County Community College and the faculty union, averting a potential strike. The 2 days of negotiations have resulted in an agreement that college president John Udichak said, quote, supports our faculty while keeping our students and their academic success at the forefront, unquote. The terms of the new agreement will be released after it has been ratified by members of the faculty union and presented to the college's board of trustees. A wind advisory is in effect for all northeastern and central Pennsylvania. The National Weather Service issued a high wind watch through 1 p.m. Wednesday through 1 p.m. Thursday. Winds will be 25 to 35 miles per hour, and it could be as high as 60 miles per hour. Winds could knock over trees and power lines. Widespread power outages are possible. And due to the current dry conditions, the wind brings an increased risk of wildfire spread. Officials warn that any outdoor burning is not recommended. Coming up on Wyln News, officials have released the identity of a teen killed at a Halloween party last weekend. And we'll tell you about some events celebrating veterans this week. But first, we'll take a look at our 5-day forecast brought to you by the Wyln Weather Kids. We'll be right back.
Brought to you by Lehigh Valley Health Network, part of Jefferson Health. If you were saved by the bell and made epic mixtapes, it's time for a mammogram. Screenings help find breast cancer early when it's more treatable. Schedule today at lvhn.org/mammo.
My name is Alexander Bonomo, and tomorrow's forecast is sunny.
We want your child to be our WYLN Weather Kid. Your child could be our feature weather reporter of the day on Wyln News and Wyln social media posts, just by using your smartphone or any video recording device. It's easy. All ages are welcome, from toddlers to teens. To find out how, go to the weather section of WYLNTV.com or look for our post about it on the Wyln News Facebook page. Submit your Weather Kid video today.
When emergency strikes, trust your care to the all-new ER at Lehigh Valley Hospital, Hazleton. With a facility that's now twice the size. Experienced nurses who see you right away. A quick assessment process makes sure you get the care you need. Advanced technology on site. Safe, private treatment rooms, and a peace of mind that only this level of care can bring. When it matters most, trust your partner in emergency care. Lehigh Valley Hospital, Hazleton.
If you're looking for an affordable pre-owned car or truck, Cheers Auto Sales has a great lineup of clean, dependable, and quality vehicles. Stop in at 610 North Broad Street in West Hazleton, 570-454-7229. Cheers is proud to be celebrating 70 years in business.
When you bundle home and auto, life can be easier. You choose coverage that makes sense for you, at a price that's right for you, and a local State Farm agent who's there for you.
Call State Farm agent Pete Casalika in the greater Hazleton area today.
Do you like craft beer? Do you want to learn the right way to sample wine? How about checking out a restaurant with a unique flavor or a crazy food challenge? These are just some of the things we are featuring on Wine, Hops, and Road Stops. So, spend some time learning about great wine, great beer, and great food on WYLN TV 35. Come shoot at Whitetail Preserve 118 Boulevard Road in Bloomsburg. Their skeet, trap, and sporting clay fields are professionally designed, and all stations are handicap accessible. Whitetail Preserve has resident shooting instructors certified by the NRA in shotgun, rifle, pistol, home safety, and personal protection in the home. Whitetail can also cater any size event, whether it be a private party, corporate event, or wedding. Call 570-384-2314 or 570-790-8969.
Welcome back to WYLN News. Wilkes-Barre Township Police are looking for this man, 61-year-old Patrick O'Hara. O'Hara was arrested back in September at the Wilkes-Barre Township Marketplace for persistent disorderly conduct, harassment, reckless driving, and careless driving. Police say he attempted to purposely ram another vehicle in the parking lot with his white Toyota RAV4 and then began shouting at bystanders. O'Hara was found to have 16 bench warrants at the time. Township police say that if you see him, contact 911. We now know the name of the 15-year-old shot at the Williamsport Halloween party early Saturday morning. The Lycoming County coroner announced that Braylon Johnson of Williamsport died from a gunshot wound to the abdomen. Police were called to a home on Park Avenue around 11:15 p.m. on Friday for reports of gunshots at a Halloween party. Witnesses say that 25-year-old Zaire Jones-Wallace arrived at the party and started an altercation that led him firing shots at Johnson. Police obtained an arrest warrant and were searching for Jones-Wallace's when he turned himself in. He is facing multiple charges which include criminal attempt homicide, aggravated assault, possession of instruments of crime, and other related charges. Today is the 36th day of the government shutdown, marking it as the longest government shutdown in American history. The shutdown has affected millions of Americans, as many are without federal assistance like SNAP. Federal employees haven't been paid since the shutdown began. As tensions began, the White House and Congress have been building. President Trump have urged Republican senators to eliminate the filibuster, a Senate policy that requires votes on legislation to have 60 yes votes to pass. With the current Senate makeup, Republicans need to gain support from Democrats to get to 60 votes to reopen the government. But Democrats have been unwavering on their demands to extend Affordable Care Act, subsidies which are set to expire with the new year, and will not agree to reopen the government without these extensions being passed. With the Affordable Care Act, also known as Obamacare, subsidies expiring at the end of the year, healthcare costs for millions are expected to skyrocket. Republicans are hesitant to fund these subsidies without reforms, but they will also have to get Democrats to agree to their proposals as well. We have a couple events coming this week to honor our veterans. On Saturday, November 8th, the Lehigh Valley Hospital Schuylkill will sponsor a free hot breakfast from 7:30 to 9:30 a.m. at the Lehigh Valley Health Network Performance Center. The event is designed for Schuylkill County veterans and those who currently serve in the U.S. military. The program is free of charge and designed for veterans only. Registration is requested by going to lvhn.org/vetbreakfast or by calling 888-402-5846. And American Legion Post 314 and the County of Carbon Department of Veterans Affairs would like you to join in the 2025 Carbon County Veterans Day Parade being held in Lehighton this Sunday. The parade will start at 2 p.m. and there is a rain date on November 16th. Prizes will be given out to the following categories: Best Appearing Color Guard, Best Appearing Band, and Best Appearing Float. The registration table to be a part of the festivities is located on the corner of North 9th Street and Cole Street. On Sunday, November 9th, a furry fundraiser is being held for Spooky Lou's Kitty Rescue. The event will start at noon and will run until 6 p.m. at the Hazleton American Legion. There will be lots of activities for all ages to enjoy. Children can participate in activities such as face painting, games and prizes, and a coloring contest. For adults, there will be a 50-50 raffle, $500 lotto board, tricky trays, and bingo pull tabs. It will also feature Italian and Polish foods and desserts for sale, with many vendors on site. The community event will be at 305 East Diamond Avenue in Hazleton. Coming up on Freeland's News Choice, Lisa Marie sits down with an audiologist to hear about the importance of keeping your ears healthy on this week's Wellness Wednesday. Plus, WYLN historian Chris Fulmer takes us on the path through history with Mount Carmel Part 3. And stay with us at WYLN. We'll be right back.
It's the 47th Annual American Cancer Society Greater Hazleton Unit Telethon, fighting every cancer for every life. Join us Saturday, November 15th from 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. at the Pennsylvania Theater of Performing Arts in Hazleton, or watch us live on WYLN TV 35. Tune in for all the entertainment, and please make a pledge Saturday, November 15th for the 47th Annual American Cancer Society Telethon.
For a better customer experience, visit Fairway Subaru in Hazleton. Fairway Subaru has been providing generations of customers with Subarus. With exceptional customer service they've come to expect. Check out our selection in person or at fairwaysubaru.com. Fairway Subaru, the right car, the right price, the right dealer.
Hey, it's Justin from Grand Central, and our trained sleep professionals are here to help you sleep like never before. With an extensive line of Sealy and Stearns & Foster mattresses, we are sure to find you the right mattress at the right price. Free delivery and removal, interest-free financing for up to 60 months, and same or next day delivery on select models.
And don't forget, everyday low prices. Stop in to one of our 2 locations, Route 93 in Escapec,
or downtown Hazleton,
and see why Northeast and Central Pennsylvania sleeps better with Grand Central.
Come shoot at Whitetail Preserve, 118 Boulevard Road in Bloomsburg. Their skeet, trap, and sporting clay fields are professionally designed, and all stations are handicapped accessible. Whitetail Preserve has resident shooting instructors certified by the NRA in shotgun, rifle, pistol, home safety, and personal protection in the home. Whitetail can also cater any size event, whether it be a private party, corporate event, or wedding. Call 570-384-2314 or 570-790-8969.
Hi, welcome to Wellness Wednesday. I'm Lisa Marie, and we are actually at Capriotti's here in Tresco, and we are here with one of our presenters at our Board of Associates meeting today, and our presenter is Leanne Yetter, who is an audiologist at our Health and Wellness Center, and she's in the same office as Heidi, is it Fuhrer? Fiorelli, and also with Dr. Hahn and Dr. Pollack, which many of you are very familiar with. We are here to tell you a little bit about what an audiologist does and focus on a certain audience of patients that you work with. So tell us a little bit about what an audiologist does.
So audiology mainly focuses on hearing and balance, so the organs of your ear. We do hearing evaluations, so we test both tonal and speech as far as hearing is concerned. We also test middle ear function, how the eardrum is moving and how your middle ear is working. And we also do balance tests as well. We work very closely with the ear, nose, and throat doctors. We see patients ranging of all ages, so we see adults. A lot of those are hearing aid patients. And then we also see kiddos.
And speaking of kiddos, you know, when you did this amazing presentation today, you were saying about more younger people, you're seeing issues with hearing. Could you focus on that a little bit and kind of tell us why we may be seeing more so in the pediatric age?
Sure. So when we hit teenage years, we get a lot of noise. You know, when people are listening to it through headphones, loud music, the earbuds that are directly in line with the eardrum, it can cause a lot of noise-induced issues as far as hearing is concerned. So we are seeing with teenagers a lot of early onset hearing loss, especially once they hit their 20s and stuff, but it starts when they're younger in their teenage years. We also see kids that are younger for issues with speech and language delays. Sometimes they have fluid or chronic ear infections. In that case, our ear, nose, and throat doctors will probably do some kind of treatment like tubes or maybe some medical treatments, medications.
So, how does someone get in touch with you? Do they need a referral from their doctor? Do they directly contact the ENT office to discover about getting an appointment? Do you know how that works?
Yes, so some insurances require referrals, some do not. Any Medicare or Medicaid patients will need referrals, but typically commercial insurances, you don't need a referral, especially for children. It doesn't help or it doesn't hurt to have a referral, especially from a pediatrician if it's a kid. But other than that, you really just need to contact the office directly. They'll be able to let you know with your insurance if you need a referral or not.
Okay, so another question I have is, you were talking also about hearing aids and the possible, not hearing aids, but like hearing loss with the possible link to dementia as well. And I know we're talking the older population now, but could you just give me a snapshot about that as well?
Sure. So untreated hearing loss, there's a study from Johns Hopkins that came out that long-term untreated hearing loss can lead to dementia or earlier onset of dementia. It's because of the fact that the area of the brain that is meant to discriminate speech and determine, sound localization, if it's not being utilized, oftentimes it will just not function as it did when you were getting that stimulation of that part of the brain. Anytime there's loss of function from the brain, that contributes to dementia. So, the sooner that we would treat hearing loss, the less likely that is to affect you.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, and I'm sure a lot of people out there, identify some of their family members or friends and notice there might be a deficit in their hearing. Obviously, we should come first, earlier than later, to hopefully alleviate that happening with them.
Mm-hmm. Baseline hearing test never hurts. You can always come in and we can test you, even if it's normal. Then we know that when there is a loss, where we have the loss, how much of a loss it was from where you started. So it never hurts to have a baseline hearing test done.
Well, thank you so much, Leanne, for your insight, your expertise. We really appreciate it. And if you do feel you're having some issues with your hearing, we have great audiologists and our ENTs here at the Health and Wellness Center in Hazleton. And thank you for watching Wellness Wednesday.
It's cold out there. Call S.J. Kowalski for the best products and solutions to help lower your energy costs and keep your family safe and comfortable this winter. Our professional team has unparalleled experience with all the latest innovative types of heating systems. We're a Lennox Premier dealer, installing high-quality equipment, providing the ultimate experience in comfort and climate control while being energy efficient. S.J. Kowalski, heating and cooling the way the earth intended.
Hello, I'm Wyln historian Chris Fulmer. Pennsylvania's communities are filled with interesting history. Come with me as we discover the people, events, industries, and other historic facets of local towns.
My name is Alexander Bonomo, and tomorrow's forecast is sunny.
The turn of the century saw minor labor strife build up in the anthracite region, and Mount Carmel would prove an epicenter in April 1906. On the corner of 5th and Oak Streets, striking miners would be shot at by state troopers in what became known as the Miners' Dispute. 10 men were wounded, but all of them would survive. One did not necessarily need to work in the mines to be affected by the dangers of the mining business. This fact became clear to Mount Carmel residents on March 5, 1907, when the dynamite house at the Richards Colliery exploded with colossal force. The building had housed 5,000 pounds of dynamite and 60 kegs of black powder, among other explosives. The blast left a 15-foot crater where the dynamite house had been, and also destroyed the supply houses and office building at the Richards Colliery. The colliery's carpenter and blacksmith shops were also damaged. The explosion was powerful enough to rattle houses in Mount Carmel proper, and shatter plate glass windows all along Oak Street. 19 men at the colliery were injured, and one, Lewis Dowie, would later pass on from a fractured skull. An investigation afterwards could not conclusively pin down the cause of the explosion, although it laid out the possibility that either steam pipes in the dynamite house had gotten too hot and triggered the explosives, or that rats chewing on the blasting caps had set them off. It was also around the turn of the century that one of Mount Carmel's ghost stories would begin. On July 10, 1903, recent Lithuanian immigrant Annie Metskis was picking huckleberries in the grounds of the Reliance Colliery, hoping to sell enough to pay for her husband's journey to America. It was then that a terrible thunderstorm swept over the town. Metskis ran for cover, eventually reaching the nearest schoolhouse. Maintenance man Frank Lewis was working on the building at the time and tried to tell her to take cover in the nearby coal shed. Metskis, however, did not understand English and instead continued running up the street toward a grove of trees. Several hours later, that was where her body was found face down, having been fatally struck by lightning, the strike having been so powerful that the soles of her shoes were blown clean off, and the pail she'd been carrying was completely crushed. Soon after, reports began of a spectral figure of a woman appearing around the Reliance Colliery, one which would ultimately disappear in a blinding flash of light. Annie Metskis rests today unmarked in Mount Carmel Cemetery, and perhaps her spirit still walks the town to this day. Moviegoers at Mount Carmel would have several options to view motion pictures in the early part of the 20th century. The grandest of them all was the Victoria Theater, which was built by William H. Lee around 1912 on West 3rd Street between Pear and Maple Streets. It would later be run by Victoria Amusement Enterprises, which additionally ran 2 other Victoria theaters in Shamokin and Monroe City. The screen was enlarged in 1953 as part of a general upgrade. The Victoria closed around 1970 and was demolished soon afterwards to be replaced by a bank. More intimate was the State Theater, which was adapted from the earlier Grand Army of the Republic Opera House. It ceased operations in the 1950s, and the Mount Carmel Post Office now stands on site. There was also for a few years the Theatorium on South Oak Street, which originally opened on August 28, 1907. Its capacity was expanded in 1912 to have room for 700 patrons, 500 in the main level and 200 in the balcony. The opening of the Grander Victoria Theater would spell the end for the Theatorium, which closed in January 1925. The Central Cigar Store and Billiard Parlor, and later the Kinney Shoe Store would later stand on site. A few years prior, Mount Carmel had been the shooting location of an early movie. The mover behind the film was local promoter Felix Albert Lurch, who ran numerous local contests to advertise the Mount Carmel area. Taking note of the increasing popularity of motion pictures, Lurch decided to get into the movie business in 1916, with the intent of using local actors and locations to cut down the usually high costs of starring in studio. After testing out filmmaking with a pair of 20-minute films shot as part of another contest, Lurch ran office space in Mount Carmel's Guarantee Trust Building and hired a film crew from New York, planning to make a 5-reel epic picture. Lurch then offered a $20 gold coin as a prize for the person who could write the best screenplay, with the stipulation it had to be 500 words in length and feature as the main character a woman named Flo. The winning entry, by William Hobbs, would be titled A Romance of the Coalfields. To cast his epic, Lurch held another contest, with a prize of $50 offered to the winner as chosen by voters. Ultimately, with 408,190 votes cast for her, Mount Carmel's Verna Wydra, who had performed in numerous stage shows in the borough in previous years, won the honor of starring as Flo Barson in the film. Her brother Frank Wydra won the right, with 470,400 votes to his name, to play leading man Jack Parmley, while the second-place male contender, Mount Carmel firefighter Luke Bucky, will get to play the film's villain, originally named Tough Andy in the script, as a consolation prize. Filming began on June 28, 1916, with exterior shots filmed all over Mount Carmel. While rainy weather would wipe out attempts to film crowd scenes, the picture came along slowly but surely. A real bomb was constructed and detonated for a scene involving dynamite, and Luke Bucky would get a little too into his role as the villain, at one point tossing the actor playing his henchman down a mine shaft for added effect. Lurch's dreams of a major epic would be curtailed when the Philadelphia Movie Editing Board ultimately cut his magnum opus down to 40 minutes in length. Nonetheless, A Romance of the Coalfields was seen by nearly everyone in Mount Carmel when it premiered at the Theatorium on July 24, 1916. It would later be exhibited in New York City as well. Mount Carmel town fathers hoped for a time the film would make the community a nexus of filmmaking, but ultimately the industry would take root further west in Southern California. Felix Lurch would make no further movies, eventually becoming a longtime advertising executive in New England. It is believed that A Romance of the Coalfields has been lost to history, given how quickly early motion picture film degraded over time. The original route of the Center Turnpike through Mount Carmel went through a floodplain and diagonally up the town through Locust Mountain. By 1930, community leaders wanted a more direct approach to the town, as well as to eliminate at-grade crossings of the Lehigh Valley and Pennsylvania railroads. And so a viaduct was built in 1930 on the west end of the borough, carrying automobiles safely over the tracks. A new viaduct was built to replace it in 2003, despite both sets of railroad tracks by then being long gone. 1934 would also see the opening of one of Mount Carmel's landmark eateries when Matucci's Willow Cafe began serving guests on West 4th Street. It remains in business for patrons today. The beginning and the end of the age for coal were beginning to rumble around 1930. King Coal, however, still had much to give to the area. The massive Locust Summit breaker, a twin to Monterey City's St. Nicholas breaker, opened for operation in March of that year. The two twin breakers were recognized as the largest in the world at the time of their completion. Built by the Philadelphia and Rain Coal and Iron Company at a cost of $4 million, the Locust Summit breaker had the capacity to process 1,600 tons of coal an hour and 12,000 square feet of shaker decks for sizing the coal. 42 separate sets of tracks brought the coal to the breaker, and at its peak, its employees worked 3 shifts to process 15,000 tons of coal a day. Time, however, was not on the side of coal mining by this point, and the Locust Summit breaker's days would be numbered. It closed in 1955, putting 1,700 employees out of work. The breaker then stood idle for decades afterwards until it was finally torn down in 2002.
My name is Alexander Bonomo, and tomorrow's forecast is sunny.
You're watching WYL.